We are back, people. What is up? Doing a bit of a breakdown here, game preview. Dolphins versus Titans. We're going to go over the Titans offense today, see how the Dolphins can kind of attack that. So, and then tomorrow we'll get into the Titans defense, that type of thing. But yeah, I really wanted to focus on the Tennessee offense because I think that's kind of how you beat them, is making them make mistakes offensively as they've started 0-3. It's definitely a pretty winnable game, like, to be honest, for the Dolphins. Obviously, Dolphins haven't looked great either across the board. So I think this one could really go either way. And it's probably a big point in the season. Like, if you win this, like, it's kind of not over. You still have a chance with like the upcoming schedule. You lose this and the season is almost like it's very likely lost. I mean, it's already kind of leaning that way just with like the momentum of things. But Dolphins are technically 8th in the AFC, I think. That's what it is because of their 1-2 record. But we'll see how it plays out. I mean, I have a lot of notes written down here. I have film on the Titans offense. I got like 1:30 worth of clips. Let's see. I really hope the Dolphins just tank this year because I want to draft a quarterback. I like Tua, but me personally, I wouldn't have given that contract. The reason being is he's only been really healthy one season. I would have made him play another season and prove that he could just be healthy, but I wanted just to tank the whole season and draft a quarterback. I can understand. I mean, they're not gonna. I'll say this: they're not going to tank. It's just there's like jobs on the line. Like, the team itself is not going to tank. Now, could they be bad enough where they have like a bad record? Yeah, I think so. Especially if Tua doesn't return. Like, if they continue playing how they're playing, I do think there will be a turning point at some point in the season. You just got to hope it's not too late if you're trying to win games. I can understand like people maybe wanting a new quarterback because of the injury stuff with Tua. I think that's completely understandable. But also, I don't think the whole I don't really like the draft quarterback wise this year. There's a couple of guys I like, but it's still too early for me to say which QBs I would want if that's the direction they went. And so that's why I'm like really not there yet. It's too early in the process. But I do have the Titans offense pulled up here. They're okay. I have a lot of the clips from the Packers game, and the Dolphins should really just be looking at the Packers game plan and like using it, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But we're focusing, you think Tua should retire? I mean, it's not up to me. I mean, I don't think my opinion really matters if I think Tua should retire. I mean, it's up to him. I really don't. I'm just not a doctor, I like Jalen Moreau. I need to see a lot more from Milroe. I don't even think, because to me at this point, I don't think Milroe would have a better career than Tua would. But I think he'd have to take a pretty big jump. But I haven't watched. I've watched people play live this year, but I haven't watched film yet. And if I haven't watched film, I just try not to give too many final decisions on players because film can change the way you see things. Because you really can only learn so much from watching broadcast film. But looking at the Titans O-line, just the Titans offense in general, Packers did a great job stopping the running game. That's like the biggest part, slowing down the running game. Titans have Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, some like more undersized, explosive type of backs. They're going to try to create big play opportunities with them. They obviously don't have Derrick Henry anymore. But if you slow down the running game and like don't allow their like early down action, like they're going to run a lot of play action and running the ball. If you allow their play action to get a lot of time, especially on those like first, second downs, Will Levis can actually have some good reps. That's where he like looks his best, I think, is off play action on early downs when he has time in the pocket. So that's kind of like how they're going to try to beat you. The Packers did a great job getting out to an early lead and slowing down the running game. Like, Titans kind of just went away from the running game and then started doing like true pass sets. And Levis, I believe, is the second most pressured quarterback this season, like just based on offensive line. So basically, when it comes down to it, like that's basically how you beat this team. They have a weak offensive line. Hey, Ryder, what's up, Derek? Tua's one hit from retirement. Every player's one hit from retirement. Honestly, so I mean that's just, if you want to say he's more likely, then sure, but anyone's one hit from retirement realistically. Their right tackle, what's his name? It is Nicholas Petit-Frere. Might be the worst starter in football right now, just like at any position. Like you're gonna see on the film that I'm gonna show. It is rough. So if you get in true pass situations, that's where you take advantage. And they left him on an island too many times in that Packers game, and they took him apart. The rest of the offensive line, like for the Titans, isn't horrible like that, but it's nothing like to stand out. Like they have a JC Latham as their rookie left tackle, who's probably been their best of the bunch so far out of them. He's been playing pretty good, but it's not like any of them are unbeatable. Like they have Lloyd Cushenberry at center, who's not a great player. Their guard play isn't elite or anything. Like you can definitely attack the guard play. So yeah, offensive line is kind of where you want to attack the Titans across the board. Because if you get Levis under pressure, that's where you get to make him make some mistakes. Because I believe I have there's a chart here, yeah. Like total dropbacks under pressure, I believe Levis is the second most pressured quarterback, just based on offensive line play, and then he's also like below average on like creating pressures on himself, you know. Yeah, the Packers did a great job versus them. Levis is making a lot of boneheaded mistakes. Like every single game so far, Will Levis has made a play that's kind of lost in the game. You gotta hope that continues versus the Dolphins. I think he probably had his best game of his career against the Miami last season, obviously, which that game was hard to watch. Probably the worst the Dolphins have, you know, probably their worst loss last season against a team they should have won. It was, but you have to pressure him, keep him off rhythm, because when he's in rhythm, he actually has good reps. Like I actually think Levis on his good plays, like when he's playing in rhythm, it actually looks pretty solid. He just has like a multiple plays a game where it's like, dude, what are you doing? And you got to take advantage of those plays when they happen. But yeah, limiting the run game. They have home run hitters, so like Pollard, Spears, not like guys who are gonna like super tire you out with like physicality and that type. They're more of a hit the whole outside zone. They're gonna try to capture the edges, so setting the edge will be important. That type of thing. They have good weapons across the board. I actually like a lot of their weapons. Like DeAndre Hopkins, obviously a great player, but he is injured. Like he hasn't played a ton of snaps for them. Like I think the last week was the most he played, and he actually had a pretty good game, but he's only playing like 40-something% of the snaps. They have Calvin Ridley, who's a good man beater, but it seems like him and Levis have had some struggles staying on the same page, especially like on back shoulders or finding soft spots versus zone. But obviously Ridley's super talented. They have Tyler Boyd in the slot, quality slot receiver. Their starting tight end is Chig Okonkwo. He's kind of a Jonnu Smith type, like get the ball in his hands and he'll make some plays. But that's kind of like the base of their, those are their starters that you can, it's not the greatest group, but they have some things to work with there. I'm going to start looking at this. Here is the film. This is like one of their first plays of this game. They came out and run play action. They come out on early downs. I believe that's actually with the first snap of the game. 1st and 10. They run play action. You're not able to get after the quarterback because it creates a clean pocket. People are slowed down. They have, lots of people in protection here. Create a two-man route concept. Linebackers get sucked down, and Levis has all his time to work with. He's going to find these types of plays and make them look routine. He's very comfortable in those situations. So it's kind of just like throwing him off rhythm, and you don't want to give him too many of those looks. Like those plays will happen, but you just don't want them to be too frequent. And then here's like one of the only times I think throughout the game where the Titans had a successful 3rd down where they just true straight drop back on like a 3rd and long, like it's a 3rd and 9 here. Levis is like one of the few times he had time in the pocket. He's able to stick that back from the ground, be on the same page with Boyd over the middle. Packers went a decent amount of man-to-man here. They win, one robber. Trying to find Boyd over the middle. Levis actually does a good job manipulating with his eyes and feet. That's kind of where they were moving the ball early on. But when they got after it, but they slowed down the run. The running game is huge. If they tried to run on 1st down, Packers limited it to like max 3 yards pretty much every single time. And then they kind of had to give it up once they went down too much. But they they're going to try to capture the edge. Here they go like behind the back. They actually, taken from the Dolphins concept. So having, people pursue, set the edges, linebackers need to be very active, getting laterally sideline to sideline. And then here's like one of the first examples. Look how easily the right tackle gets beat here. And this is just the first play. There's going to be many more plays where the whole line gets beat, but just look at the right tackle here, 78. Rashawn Gary just opens him up like it's nothing. They have to have a true drop back play, and they get a sack. Their O-line is definitely their weakest part. When you get them in the true pass, that's like this no play action, no RPOs, that type of thing. He has to truly drop back, get a one-on-one, and they go one-on-one in multiple areas at the right guard, left tackle, right tackle, and you can easily create some pressure there and get after it. He is very, very easily being able to be attacked. I got a good feeling about Huntley. You tell he's going to be ready. The opportunity with all these weapons is going to shine. You watch. I mean, I'm hoping. It definitely should be Huntley out there. Like, if it's not Tyler Huntley, I think the Dolphins have made a mistake. I'm probably going to make a video in the coming days. Maybe tomorrow. Actually, no, tomorrow I'm gonna have the safety video. I'm gonna have a video of the Dolphins running their 3 safety video. But I think on Sunday, because the Dolphins play Monday, I'll have a video out on how I think Mike McDaniel should utilize Tyler Huntley and like the different play calls he could use. Because I do think there is a playbook out there. Like when McDaniel was in Washington, when RG3 was there his rookie season, he has those types of plays to use for McDaniel. There's plays I'll use from this Packers game too, with how the Packers have used Malik Willis and his legs, the passing game, things I think Huntley can accomplish. So it should be interesting. It has not been confirmed yet. We don't know. I think McDaniel has said like he's not trying to give it up, but it should be Huntley, to be honest. If it's someone else, I think it's a mistake. Yeah, the defense, that's why I kind of wanted to go over the Dolphins defense versus the Titans offense first, because I think that's kind of where, the offense obviously needs to be better, but the defense has to make, like, big plays to give the offense good advantages, because that's how you kind of beat this Titans team, because they're going to give you opportunities to create turnovers. There's a chance he looks so good and different from what we have in Tua that they may not want to go back to this. We'll see. I would be very surprised by that. I think Huntley will definitely play better than the backups, but I would be very surprised if they didn't want to go back to Tua. But I do think Huntley can give you like a few games of success to win, especially when oh snap, my bad. I just kicked my thing. Especially when you look at the Dolphins offense, but I kind of forget what I was talking about because I talked. Can you take over for Mike McDaniel? Honestly, I was like looking at the Packers game plan on offense. I was watching the Packers. I'd have those clips too, but I'm gonna do that in the stream tomorrow. So I was watching the Packers offense versus the Titans. Honestly, I don't even think LaFleur was doing anything crazy. The Packers were just executing with the backup in. I think that was like the main difference. I thought like, oh, he should just copy LaFleur, exactly what he's doing. But LaFleur was doing like the exact same game plan against the Titans that he usually runs, and obviously a little more like to the outside runs and stuff like that. But they were just moving the ball, and their backup quarterback was making the right throws in the right time. And I think that's like where we need Tyler Huntley to take over. Yeah, but has Huntley ever had the chance to be the guy like ever? I mean, he took over multiple games for the Ravens when Lamar missed like 5 games in 2022. And he played decent, but it wasn't like he took over and was dominant. Think he will make a better head coach? Nah. I mean, I feel like people... I still want to give McDaniel a chance. I agree he should be better. I want him to be better. But I think I just feel like there's too much recency bias with things going on. I want to give him the chance to see how the rest of the season turns out, because he clearly has taken the Dolphins to the best success they've had in a very long time, to the playoffs twice. Now, has it worked out quite? No. Yeah, but they have no weapons in Baltimore. Yeah, but I don't think it's as simple as just like no weapons. I would be shocked if Tyler Huntley plays so well that he would take over for Tua if Tua was fully healthy. Like, that would shock me. But I would not be shocked if he plays much better than Skyler. Like, I actually expect him to play much better than Skyler. Yeah, I expect him to play... Yeah, he was signed off to practice squad. Let's manage. I expect him to play better than, like, signed off the practice squad guy, like, better than Tim Boyle. I don't think the offense is, like, the perfect fit for his skill set. I just think, like, allowing him to make plays with the legs is really what will separate him from the other guys. Like, this offense is so timing based, it's very difficult for some of the backups to come in and like play super, super well. I know, I agree he's gonna look look good, but he's not gonna look better than like the peak of what Tua would play, you know? That would be very surprising. Especially in this offense specifically. Ryder, did you watch what Chris Perkins... Honestly, I'm not a fan of Chris Perkins, to be honest. But yeah, I do agree he has to adjust his game plan. But like, actually, if you go back and watch the film last week, I do think he was trying to adjust his game plan. Like, they didn't do as much as those things. Like, there was like less screen plays. There was things like less that I wanted to see. I just think there was certain situations where he should have ran the ball more. And there were certain situations where Skyler needs to actually throw the ball because people were open and he would just hold on to the ball too long. Like, if you watch the Packers, Malik Willis, like the play calling compared from the Packers to the Dolphins, they run the same system, wasn't that different. It's just the Dolphins, like when the Packers actually went into the passing situations, they executed. The Dolphins weren't executing. That was kind of the main difference. And Malik Willis, when things weren't there, could make plays with his legs. That's why I want to see Tyler Huntley, because I think he gives you more of that than what Skyler or Tim Boyle would. isn't it funny when Tua gets hurt, next man up gets hurt soon after? That's true. I mean, that's another thing. I mean, people just get hurt very often. That's why I'm like, dude, it's the nature of the NFL. I feel like everyone gets hurt. Right, the Fins lose the Titans. Will you lose it, or will you go to that game? Right, the Fins, will you lose it? I'm not going to the game now. What do you think of signing Bryce Young? I think Bryce Young is kind of broken at this point, but if it was super cheap, like if you only had to trade like a late round pick, I would be down to try it because it'd just be low risk. But also, I'm not like, it's not something I would be actively looking for, like proactively going after. It's horrible. But yeah, I think we need to definitely want to see Huntley out there. I'm going to have a video on how McDaniel can utilize Huntley. I'm going to look at some of the play calls the Packers use. I'm going to look at some of the ways Huntley was used. And then I'm going to look at even some, if I can find RG3 film, because McDaniel was there in Washington and they ran the Shanahan system. And I think RG3, has some of those elements to his game. So a 6th round pick for Bryce Young, that'd be probably the most I would use. Dolphins also have some injuries. I know Kendall Fuller is injured. David Long is injured on the defense side of the ball. Duck is injured. So it'll be interesting. I'm going to make a video on the Dolphins 3 safety sets tomorrow. Like the Dolphins ran the 3 safety package a lot in the second half versus Seattle. And it was actually very interesting. They had Marcus May and Poyer playing mostly on the back end, and then Holland was playing as your nickel. And then at corner you had Ramsey, and I believe Kohu was on the outside because I believe by that time Duck and Fuller were injured. So they were like, let's go with our 3 safety look. And I liked what the 3 safety look brought. I think it allowed Holland to be more involved too, because Holland, I feel like when he gave that touchdown, he was trying to be too aggressive. And I think allowing him to play down more in the box, play like underneath, it allows him to be more involved and allows him to play aggressive. And then you just need like Poyer and May on the back end to just play, smart, disciplined football. They don't need to do anything flashy. And it allows your guys, the safety that can be more involved to make exciting plays. Was Tyreek joking when he said Waddle was seen throwing some passes at practice? Don't I wouldn't take anything Tyreek says seriously in an interview because I'm pretty sure he's trolling like 90% of the time. Now that we have a QB that can move and make things happen, it's going to open up everything, make things so much easier for everyone. To an extent, yes, but like I think people underestimate how so here's how I look at it. I think Kurt Warner explains it a very good way. You know how like players like Tyler Huntley, they extend plays on the back end? With Tua's anticipation that he extends plays on the front end. And I think Warner explains it really well. There are certain players that can extend things on the front end, which Tua does about as good as anyone. And there's certain players that can extend things on the back end, which is like players like Huntley who would come in. So I think we're kind of losing that ability to extend plays on the front end. So I don't think it's going to like open up our offense more than it did with Tua, because we're losing that part of it. And I think that is like the main part of this offensive scheme. So I think you're taking a hit there no matter what, no matter who your backup quarterback is. Yes, it will help you more with Huntley because it gives you more legs with Skyler and Boyle, but it's not going to open up like crazy. There might be like 1 or 2 plays opened up on the back end more than usual. Like that you can find a receiver open down the field, but you're not going to have those same anticipatory big throws that we used to have. So I think that's kind of where it hurts us. Right, are you not a fan of Chris Perkins? He's a fan of you. I told him. I've never really watched any of his stuff. I've just seen like some of the Twitter stuff that he's posted, and I just like don't usually agree with it. But I mean, I don't have like strong opinions because I don't watch or read as much stuff as I used to when it comes to Dolphin stuff because I'm making my own. But yeah, we don't know who starting QB is yet. Irving. I think people are expecting it to be Huntley, so we've been talking about Huntley. I hope it's Huntley as well. But yeah. I should just. Ryder, did you answer your title question? How am I? Yeah, a little bit. I have some film I'm going over. So I've talked about the Will Levis stuff a little bit. Basically, the Titans offense, they're going to try, like, if you look at the Packers game, and that's where all my clips are from, Packers did a great job of stopping the run. And then once they stopped the run, and then, like, if the Titans can't go into their play action game, like, that's where they throwing the ball well is play action. Because when Will Levis has gotten time, he does a great job in play action when he has space to work with, and then finding his guys down the field, he gets that extra opening in the pocket. But like, we'll go back to this play. But if he has to play true drop back pass, like this right tackle right here, 78, is one of the worst starters in football. He is very, very bad. Like, sorry to him, like, you know, no offense, but like he is getting beat left and right. The rest of the O-line isn't super special either. Like, they get beat occasionally too, but the right tackle is the weak link. They have a rookie at left tackle who's actually been playing pretty decent football, but if you force them to true drop back pass, you can get after Will Levis. The Packers sacked him so many times. I don't have exact numbers on me, but they were creating disruption. And then you have plays like this. When you force Will Levis now to play a game where they go empty, they can't run the ball, no play action, they're down in the game, they come out, and he has to drop back and play, he's going to make some either poor decisions under pressure or some poor decisions passing here. He tries to throw a quick hitch to DeAndre Hopkins. Alexander sits on it, pick 6. Will Levis has like the Titans actually had a decent chance of winning their games, but Will Levis is kind of like made some really poor decisions to lose it for them. Outside of the poor decisions, he has some good plays, but those poor decisions have really hurt them. Interceptions for touchdowns, fumbles, 4th down mistakes, like they're just there. So you have to, when he makes the boneheaded mistakes, you take advantage of it, read the eyes. So yeah, Levis has his problems across the board, and then the O-line has not done too many favors to help him out. I think if you stop the run, which the Packers did a great job stopping the run, they're going to run the outside zone. They're going to try to capture the edge. They have Pollard and Spears in the backfield. You have great run defense. Packers played the run great. That's like the key start of this game. The Dolphins can slow down the running game, and then the early quick passing game, they're going to come out, try to throw play action on first down, because the Dolphins are probably going to try to sell out the run. If you can just not have those plays absolutely kill you, that's huge. And then when they have to go, true drop back, force Will Levis, like basically you look at it here, right tackle, they get one-on-ones at both tackle spots. Left tackle gets beat to the outside, right tackle gets beat to the outside. He has to step up in the pocket because the right tackle is really getting beaten. And then Levis is forced to hold on to the ball. Packers secondary is doing a good job dropping into coverage. They're disguising stuff, showing like a single high look pre-snap. They drop into a 2 high look. Get hands on. Looks like they're playing cover 2. It forces Levis just so like basically when you get into these situations, it's 3rd and like 4. So 3rd and 4 is like usually a pretty obvious passing situation, but sometimes you can get the ball quickly and still convert. If you disguise coverage, make Levis be confused for an extra split second, allow your guys to get after it, because if they're not giving help, I noticed the Titans for some reason were not giving much help on their right tackle. I don't know why. If they're not giving help and you have Jalen Phillips one-on-one, I think that's how you pretty much win this game. He was getting sacked left and right. I have more plays to show. I'll show those in a little bit, but yeah, that's kind of how you get after those guys. Nicholas, yeah, I mean, I don't really put too much stock in the whole college thing, Grant, but yeah. It's always been taught to me, don't scout the helmet, but yeah, he has been rough for Tennessee out of Ohio State. We just have to go get a QB, be ready to replace him one day. Yeah, but I think, Greg, at this point, that's like an after season thing. At this point, unless you get lucky, like there's not going to be some other QB you're going to find unless someone wants to trade, which I doubt you're going to find anyone worth of any value at this point in the season. So to me, it's like you roll with I roll with Huntley until Tua gets healthy, and then when Tua gets healthy, you got to hope that you have not lost every game without him, because by that point, it might as well just sit him, because then the season's probably over, but yeah. Yeah, Elwood, this will be one of the things that I talk about in that video with McDaniel, is like making things easy on Huntley. He definitely favors some quick throws over the middle of his tight ends. If you watch towards the end of the Seahawks game, we started giving some of those throws to Boyle, some like easy completions versus zone, specifically like zone beaters where you just sit in between the 2 hook defenders. Huntley very much likes to target tight ends a lot, so I think getting Jonnu involved would be huge if Huntley is out there. Trade for Will Levis. He's surprised not has. I wouldn't be surprised if the Titans move on from Will Levis at some point this season. Maybe not trade wise, but if they bench him and then he gets traded in the future. But yeah, you can just tell the Titans coach does not like him and doesn't trust him. I actually like some of the plays Will Levis made on film. I was like, oh, that was a really good play. But then he has those plays where like, dude, what are you doing? D-Hop is awesome, bro. He's the best wide receiver I've ever seen, but I'm not a long-time fan, only from mid-10s. Yeah. The only problem with Hopkins on the Titans right now is I don't think he's healthy. He's only playing he played like 40-something% of the snaps last week. Still had a good game, but I'm pretty sure he has something going on with his MCL and has never quite reached 100%. So he's playing injured ball. So don't expect Hopkins to be at 100% this game. Ridley can be a really good receiver for them, but he's also quite inconsistent with being on the same page. So he can be pretty hit or miss. And then Boyd's like just a solid third slot receiver. So they have some good weapons in Tennessee. It's just, can they get to them? And it's like they need to create that play action game. So the Dolphins have to play good versus run. Oh, sorry, I missed your message. Have you heard anything about bringing up Bonner and Needham from the practice squad? I have not, but I imagine, Bonner is already on the team. So I imagine Bonner just hasn't been active. So I imagine Bonner will be active, especially if Fuller and Duck can't go or one of them doesn't go. And then if both of them can't go, I imagine they'll probably raise someone up like a Nick Needham. But yeah, I'm hoping to see Bonner. Who's Levis' backup? Titans' backup is Mason Rudolph from Pittsburgh. Probably not the worst backup ever, but he's nothing like to be too afraid of. But he did help the Steelers, I think, win a game last season. So. But yeah, there's in the injury report, I don't know if the Titans have too many offensive injuries. I think they have some, like their corner is on IR. They put Chidobe Awuzie, their second corner, on IR, so he won't be playing in the game. But I'll go over the Titans' defense tomorrow and how the Dolphins can attack them in like detail. I have clips to pull out there. They obviously have a strong interior and stuff like that. There are certain players to attack, though, that I think you can definitely take advantage of. One of their linebackers and then a couple guys in the secondary. But yeah. I've read Titans have a 3-0 record. Yeah. Titans actually have a pretty good Monday night record, and then they're undefeated Monday night. I mean, I don't put too much stock in that. Apparently, the Titans are they've lost 9 of their last road games, and the only road game they won was the one against the Dolphins last season. So apparently they've been struggling on the road. I mean, the Dolphins, I actually think, out of the games without Tua, I think this one is the one they should win the most. So they play. I thought the Seattle one they would lose. I think the ones versus New England and Indianapolis are kind of coin tosses. This one I also think is a bit of a coin toss, but I think this is the one they should be most likely to win. And I think if you do, it could switch momentum. It could switch the things around, getting some adversity early, and hopefully the Dolphins can kind of do what the opposite of what they've been doing in recent seasons. They can, instead of starting strong and finishing slow, they can start slow and finish strong. I think that would be good. Will L'Jarius Sneed's son Tyreek again? Hopefully not. I think their top center's out. Is Cushenberry out? I'm not sure. But I don't think... I mean, I'm not really concerned with who their center is, to be honest. I don't think their center is anything too crazy. Where's the injury? I had the injury report somewhere. On their injury report, they had... Jeffrey Simmons didn't practice yesterday, but we haven't seen the injury report for today. Amani Hooker was limited, their safety. Hopkins and Sneed didn't practice, but it said it was rest, so I'm just imagining that's a vet rest, so they'll probably be back and ready to go. But yeah, I think kind of the biggest mismatch. The Dolphins, one thing they've done really well defensively is get pressure. So I think this is the game where and they've gotten some sacks too. I think this is the game where kind of like the Seattle game last week, they did a good job getting pressure, getting after Geno. Only really give that big play early, and when they were able to stop the run, they were effective for a while in that game. So I think that's the key. If you stop the run, I think you can get so much pressure and sacks on this offensive line. I don't think Levis is the best against pressure, but really the O-line, just getting after them. They'll give you some one-on-ones. Tavondre Sweat, yeah. Well, he's I'm gonna explain it in tomorrow's stream when I show the clips, but to hint at it, the Titans are very good on the interior stopping the run, but if you watch them versus the Packers, they stopped pretty much all the interior runs, but the runs they started towards the end of the game, you could tell the Titans defense started to tire out, and that's kind of what Sweat's problem was, and then they started hitting some outside runs, or at least showing outside zone, and then maybe hitting some cutbacks. And that's when the Packers started finding some success, started getting some 10-yard runs, 9-yard runs, 7-yard runs, 10-yard runs, all that. And the Dolphins do run a lot of outside zone, a lot of tosses, and that's kind of where I think if you do run the ball successfully against them, that's how you do it. I know I've talked about doing more inside stuff because that's kind of what the Dolphins have been successful at this season, But for this game specifically, I do think the Dolphins should stick with a lot of tosses, a lot of outside zone, because that's the Titans' weakness when it comes to run defense. But I will show it more in video tomorrow when I have the film breakdown. I'll go into like more in depth because yeah. I mean, Sweat's just like a pretty. He just had too many question marks, and he's just a one-dimensional player. Like he's a very good run defender, but didn't give too much as a. He was overweight. There was questions about whether he loved the game or not. Like I understand why he fell a little bit. He even went earlier than I expected, just based on all those things. Yeah, Harold Landry is like their best edge rusher. But I do think he's a guy that you can go after in the running game potentially. He's not bad there, but I do think if that's where you want to go after, he's their best edge guy. We'll go after it tomorrow, but I think Kenneth Murray is a guy you can tack on the interior linebackers. And then if Jamal Adams is playing, Jamal Adams was playing last week, and he was getting torched. But yeah. Yeah, they have a good run D, and they have some good guys, some guys out there that can play good coverage, but I think you can attack certain players. Like, Snead's a really good player. I think they have some good safeties, but then, like, Jamal Adams, if he's playing, attack him. They have a rookie corner starting now with, and then they have Roger McCreary as their nickel. If David Long is not playing, who do you want to mix man up? I think it's going to be Anthony Walker. And Walker played when David Long got hurt last week, it was Walker, and I expect it to be Walker again. I'm excited to see how Walker plays because I actually thought he's a pretty good depth linebacker. I'm excited to see how he plays in full action because he only got to play like, a handful of snaps, and there wasn't too much to go off of just based on film-wise. Malik Willis, yeah. They did have a lot of clean pockets. They did a good job creating clean pockets for Malik Willis, and then him creating with his legs. I think you can kind of get that with Huntley, potentially. Why did they keep Benito Jones? He's ass over Tier Tart. I imagine it was more of the off-field. Like, Tier Tart was definitely more talented, but I imagine it was more of Tier Tart not loving football and not giving full-on effort, but who knows? That the Finns should put in a claim for? I mean, have they cut? I don't know if they've cut. Are you saying like on their practice squad? Yeah, Cole Spencer. I mean, yeah, there's some interesting names here that I'm familiar with, but I haven't watched any of them in a long time, so I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to check out film to be like, but I don't know. I think the Dolphins didn't. The Dolphins had someone to the practice squad recently. It was Neil Farrell, right? The defensive tackle. But yeah. But yeah. But I do think, with that all being said, I do think the Titans offense has their weeks. I don't think they should be taken lightly at all. I think they still have a lot of talent. And if you give them those looks that I talked about, like with the play action, the clean pockets, they can create some big plays. I think they have some runners that can hit some big explosives if you're not playing sound, disciplined football, playing with good technique versus the run. So I think that's super, super key. So it just needs to be better all around. Because I think the Dolphins, kind of where they thrive at their best is when they are in those obvious passing situations. When it's an obvious passing situation, the Dolphins defensive line gets a lot more pressure. I think the secondary and linebackers do a much better job in coverage. Because on first downs, I think the linebackers kind of get attacked a lot in coverage. But when they're in like third down, they're in a much better spot. So stopping the run is key and not allowing big play actions to take advantage on early downs. Did you do a film on Farrell? No, I have not. I mean, I've watched film on him. I didn't do like a film breakdown, no. Maybe I'll do. I'm going to wait to do film breakdowns on guys until maybe they actually see some playing time. Or if it's like a practice squad guy, then I'm like, oh, this guy will definitely see some playing time. I'm not sure if he ever will. How do you think Quentin Bell is playing? He's not really giving you anything. I think you really want Bradley Chubb back, to be honest. And I would play Kamara. I would play Mo Kamara out there personally. Jeffrey Simmons is one of the best D tackles in the league, and I am also a fan of Amani Hooker as well. I like him. I haven't watched his film. I watched this film a few years ago for this place that I worked for, and I wrote a scouting report for them on Hooker. I was actually a pretty nice fan of him. I know they brought in Quandre Diggs at safety as well. I'm not sure. He's obviously was very good for Seattle. I'm not sure how well he's played through 3 games. I watched him a little bit. He's obviously has a history of being a good player, but he is older. But yeah. Devils adequate 3 keys. Well, 3 keys. I'll focus on like Titans offensively because I think the keys to beating the Dolphins offense is them beating themselves. But yeah, for them, it's just I think not going down early. I think if the Titans can keep the game either close or build a lead, I think who kind of ever builds the lead early is in a huge advantage of the game, because both teams want to be able to run the ball successfully, and you don't want to go down too early where like you have to abandon the running game, because the Titans have to abandon the run game. Their offense is in big trouble. I also think the Titans should come out on like first downs and either go play action after they've established the run, or just like a quick hitting passing game. Because I do over the middle, because the Dolphins kind of struggle over the middle on early downs, like first downs. I think they're so committed to stopping the run that they are slightly out of position at times. And then I think it just comes down to does Will Levis have his Mayo brain on it? Like, they're like in those situations where like, hey, you're gonna get sacked, or you're gonna try to force a throw. Does he make those decisions or not? Sometimes it's better to just take the sack, not fumble, than try to force anything. Yeah, Snead is definitely one of the better corners in the NFL. He definitely gives yeah. Well, Bell has been playing on defense too, certain snaps, but he hasn't done like, I don't think he's had one like, he hasn't had like super negative reps on defense, but I don't think he's had one rep where I'm like, oh, that was like I would mark it down as a positive on defense. But he does play some special teams. But I think Kamara can potentially play special teams for you. I just want to see Mo get a chance, because I think he can give you more defensively. But yeah, I do think Bell at least does a decent enough job on special teams, because he is a very athletic guy, and that is always a plus on special teams. But I think getting Chubb back will be huge, because by the time you get Chubb back, Phillips should be working back to being fully healthy. Then you have another guy that can win on the opposite side. Chop should be getting more and more reps. Chop is creating a lot of pressure. He just hasn't finished yet, and I want to see him add more moves to the, to his repertoire, because I think I liked a tweet about it. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, Chop technically has the 5th highest pass rush win rate according to PFF, like percentage-wise, which is kind of crazy. He just keeps using speed to power, though. Yeah, Titans have lost 11 of their last 12 road games and have been outscored 289 to 158. The one game they won was against the Dolphins last year, where the Dolphins absolutely choked. Oh yeah, this was the post I saw from Chris Perkins. He said he thinks Skylar Thompson deserves one more start, which, no. No. Apparently the Dolphins also practice in full pads, which I like to see. I just want to see them go out there and play so physical. I would love that. But yeah. Will Levis freaks out at the sight of milk. True. He needs to. I'm not having mayonnaise this week at all. To protest against playing against Will Levis. Chop should get more reps. I do agree, especially because I've seen the snap percentage of his reps. He actually hasn't been playing a lot of reps on third down, which is like, usually like passing situation third downs, like percentage wise compared to other downs. I'm like, that's where Chop should be playing most of his snaps. So I would love to see him. Like, I think after Phillips, he is your best edge rusher off the edge. Like, I think Ogba can give you some decent snaps there, but he's more of like, when he's gotten his pressures, they've been off of twist and stunts, while Chops have been like him winning his reps one-on-one. So I do agree, Chop should start to see more reps. I think he can help create pressure in those situations. But yeah. Here is more of the plays I have. We're about halfway through of the plays that I've shown. Titans come out, I believe on 1st and 10, try to do some play action toss here to the running back. It's slow developing. If they can get sacks on the Titans off play action like this, like look how they don't slow down at all in the left guard, left tackle. They get on top of him immediately. I believe that's against Peter Skoronski, their left guard. Packers not wasting any time. They're going to try to hit some long developing routes off play action. Like this, boom, over the middle. They do a great job linebacker bailing out. One-on-one to the outside there. Everything's taken away. And then Levis gets sacked. You can take, if they have time in the pocket, and it's not as super clean. And then this one was like, what is Levis doing? This is a 4th down, by the way. So Levis does play action boot, but the running back is your first option out of the flat. He could potentially, once this corner bails right here, I'm not sure why he doesn't throw this. Like, it's right there. I don't know why he's not throwing it. It's still there. Still not throwing it. Still there. I don't know what he's doing. Okay, but then it's like a 4th and 2. Like a 4th and maybe even a little bit longer than 2. He just tries to jump. He's not even at the line of scrimmage yet. And he tries to jump over 2 people and get to the first down and falls multiple yards short. I don't know what he's doing. He just sometimes has really big brain farts. And to be fair, the last time he played the Dolphins is when he probably played his best football ever. And then they scored a touchdown, I think, on their next drive. This was Hopkins winning a back shoulder, getting into the end zone. Hopkins not 100% healthy, but can still win in one-on-ones. Calvin Ridley wins one-on-one. I think this is where Ridley gives you trouble. I think Ridley's just very tough to guard one-on-one, man-to-man, so that's where he can get open. I do think he'll still have some problems being on the same page with Levis. But Hopkins, even when he's not open, can still make some plays. And I'm sure Hopkins will see Ramsey a decent amount. We'll see how that ends up working out. But the play action stuff, man, if he's able to get time on play action, he is at his best here in rhythm. He gets a clean pocket. He's able to step up forward in the pocket, get time. And then you have someone like Hopkins running open deep down the field, running these layered routes. And this is something the Dolphins have struggled with. If they're not able to get pressure on, like these people do find open spots versus zone versus Miami quite often. So that's kind of where you can find some problems. But also, look at the right tackle here. Like, even though those big plays happen, if you're able to get a true pass rush set against a one-on-one, look at the right tackle. Oh my god. Like, you can absolutely tackle him, like, take advantage of this guy. Oh my god. It's some of the worst reps you'll ever see. And then it's a strip sack, and the Packers fumble, recover. And they end that drive. That's how you win this game. And I think they came out and, I think they might have benched him. Because I don't think that's the same guy. So, and that guy gets beat there too off the right tackle. So, very, very beatable across the board. Packers bring some pressure here up the middle. It looked like we'll go back and hopefully get this. 55 wins. They just get after the quarterback instantly. Titans run man to man with some blitz pressure here. Very, very interesting to see it all play out. And they just, Levis was getting beat down late in this game. So if you build a lead where they have to pass the ball, you can get after Levis a lot. And he'll, like this one, he just steps up into the guy. Like, he has some time here. It's not, it's a pretty good pocket. Like, right here, like, you have time in the pocket. Like, I don't know why. He just steps up into the guy and he gets sacked. So that one's, like, on him. That's why I was saying, like, certain pressures and sacks will actually be on him. You can get after them with 4, but as I'm saying, like, you can also bring different looks with blitzes, stunts, like, up close. If you then also make your coverage look a little bit different from pre-snap to post-snap, even if you don't, like, you make him hold on, he's going to get beat up on, like, by 4 different people. And then that's, like, it's very, very difficult for them. Need defense to score this week? Yes, I agree, Phil. Who will spy on Snoop, linebacker or DB? I mean, I don't know if they'll spy anyone. I mean, maybe certain snaps, but yeah. Jalen Phillips, yeah. Phillips and Sealer are our best 2 guys to get after. Phillips is our best edge rusher, but he's still recovering from the injury. Sealer is definitely our best interior. Campbell is still good. He's just older. But I think, yeah, we need big... Ramsey and Holland are kind of like the guys that can create turnovers in the secondary that have, like, ball skills. So hopefully... And I think that's why I've talked about the 3 safety sets. The Dolphins ran a lot of 3 safety last week. I think having Holland play in the nickel could allow him just to be more involved and to allow him to play more aggressive without the worries of getting beat over the top because he has help over the top. But yeah. Thanks for this mini breakdown. If we can't beat this team, this will be a very long season. That's true. This is why, like, this is the test for the rest of the season. Especially if you get embarrassed by Tennessee, the season's over. If you win, I think it proves, like, you can still build some momentum. You're still probably towards the bottom of the league. It's not like, oh, you beat the Titans who are 0-3, like your season's turned around. But it's like, okay, if you can beat the Titans, that means you can still beat New England and Indianapolis. And if you somehow win all 3, I would like to see 2-1 personally. I'm not expecting all 3, but I think if they can go 2-1, that would put them at 3-3 by the time Tua should return. We don't know 100%. I don't think the season would be over by then. I think the Dolphins team still has too much talent for the season to be over, even though it's looked very, very bad. Like, I'm not gonna, be delusional about it. Like, I think it can turn around, but am I super optimistic about it? No. But I do think this Titans game is the most winnable of the next bunch, just based on how the season goes. But who who knows? The Titans are probably also thinking like they're 0-3, like they got to turn it around too. We'll see. I don't know if the Finns could beat New England. New England pushed Seattle into OT. That's true, Grant. But then New England last week versus New York versus the Jets, and it wasn't like the Jets barely beat Tennessee, who we're about to play, and then so like to me like that doesn't change too much. But when New England played New York, they like against the Jets, they looked as bad as I've seen a team look all season. Like the play that they had, their O-line is horrible. Brissett couldn't throw the ball past 2 yards. They didn't commit to a run game, and they were just missing tackles left and right. So like, even though New England had a good start, I think the Jets kind of exposed them, and I don't even think the Jets were super impressive in that game. I thought Rodgers played a good game, but it wasn't like he was doing like outstanding things. I think New England looked like really, really bad. So that game proved to me like New England is, I think the Dolphins should beat them, but it's week to week. The NFL changes on a dime. Like football changes so fast. Like who's a good, like the Rams. The Rams got blown out by Arizona, got blown out, embarrassed. It wasn't even close. Then the next week they had a comeback versus the Niners. They had a great win versus San Francisco last week. So we could very realistically win the next 3 games. Yeah. I think it's very realistic to win the next 3 games. I also think it's pretty realistic to lose the next 3 games. I think that's just where the Dolphins are at. When is Win and OBJ back? They're eligible to return next week. It's 4 weeks. So a lot of people are going to be eligible to return after this Titans game. OBJ, I think OBJ could return next week. I don't think we'll see Win for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Win the rest of the season, but who knows? I have no information on that. I think we could see OBJ. I think we could see Cam Smith. Who else is on? Dolphins have some other people on IR. I don't know if we'll see Craycraft back yet. I think maybe McMorris, if they want to elevate McMorris from IR, they could see him. But I don't know if they're going to do that yet. They might wait because the safety room is mostly healthy and they don't necessarily need a safety back. But I do think getting OBJ back would be kind of important because I think he should be ready. If not, I expect him to be ready fairly soon. I think Rivers is going to be a little bit longer, but shouldn't be too long. And then Cam Smith, I think was it just a hamstring, and it wasn't like a major hamstring, so I think he should be back. And that's big too, because the Dolphins have some corner injuries right now with Fuller and Duck, and I think Cam Smith could potentially see some reps out there. Yeah, they're all eligible next week. It's 4 weeks, and they were all put on in prior. And there's probably some players I'm forgetting. I could check. Let me check. Let me go. Like Chubb would also be technically eligible to return. I know, but I don't think he will either. I think it'll be a little bit longer. I think who else was eligible? Cameron Good would be eligible. I don't think we'll see him, but he would be eligible to return. I guess we could see him, but I don't know if there's like a need for him to come back. It's nothing like too crazy. I'm hoping to see Malik Washington return this week. I want to see Malik Washington play this week. Like obviously he's on IR, but I think he was limited all last week. Could have probably played, but didn't. I would love to see Malik return because I think this would be a great chance for him to get it like work as a wide receiver 3 in the offense before like the OBJs and the Craycrafts return. He hasn't been able to play yet. I think it would be a big opportunity for him. You know, with Waddle and Tyreek getting a bunch of looks, that Malik could potentially finally get some time out there. I would love to see Malik play. And do some work on special teams, which is, I think, where he'll be mostly good for. OBJ and Snoop have history. Yeah, they did play together in Baltimore. He threw a touchdown to him, but yeah. How about Mostert? I don't know if Mostert's going to play. I think he said today he's not sure. I think it's going to be one more week for Raheem, but there's a chance he plays, but who knows? There is that rookie wide receiver in the 4th. Can't remember his name. I think he's close to coming back. We didn't have a rookie receiver in the 4th, but I mean, imagine you're probably talking about Malik Washington, but he's not on IR. Malik was a 6th rounder. But yeah. Pretty much. Do you guys have any more questions? I've watched the opposite film too with I watched the Titans defense versus the Packers offense, which I think is really telling, which I will break down tomorrow. I haven't edited it together yet, but I will break it down tomorrow on stream. I also do a 3 safety film breakdown video before that. So keep an eye out for that. But I think that the film on the other side will be very telling because the Packers run a very similar scheme to Miami. I think it's a good, especially with Malik Willis and the Tyler Huntley kind of comparisons. If the Dolphins go with Huntley, I think there's some things there that you can compare. Willis was able to run pretty well on them. So I think it will be a good idea to see like how you can attack the Tennessee Titans defense because they have some good pieces, but then they also have some pieces that I think are weaker. But yeah. Craycraft is more of a blocking wide receiver. Craycraft is probably our best blocking wide receiver, which is very important for the Dolphins, but also he is our fourth best receiver like after OBJ. He was our third best receiver all offseason. It was actually a pretty unfortunate loss for the Dolphins. Because River probably has the best. I think River has the best chemistry with Tua outside of like Waddle and Tyreek. In a hypothetical where we have to give on Tua, would you draft Cam Ward? I would definitely. Ward, it would be. So I wouldn't say this is my final decision, but yeah, if say we were moving on from Tua hypothetically, and we were to go for a quarterback, there's a couple guys I like. I think Cam Ward is going to go very high, and I think he's potentially the number one quarterback right now. I want to see him versus better competition. Plus, I haven't watched the All-22 yet. That's like the big thing. That's why I don't want to give like a final decision. Like, yes, I would, but yes, he would definitely be high up on the guys compared to most of the quarterbacks in the class. I really like Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. I think he's an underrated guy. I think he'll be pretty good in this class. I wouldn't be surprised if he elevates higher than most people think. There's a lot of names that are intriguing. I also think if McDaniel's the coach, Nussmeier is probably the best fit for the McDaniel system out of the guys in the class. The Cam Ward thing's tough because I don't know if he would be the greatest fit for what the Dolphins run now, but I guess it could be a completely different system. But I do think Ward is one of the better guys. Taj is out for season, yeah. Malik Washington, he's on. I thought it was Taj that was on IR. No. Malik has just been out. Taj is on IR now for season. Malik is not on IR. I thought a lot of second string was playing for Dolphins last game. Julian Hill and Durham Smythe. Donnie could have a good game. Yes, certainly would be. Well, to be fair, Hill, Smythe, and Jonnu. I don't know if any of them are first string or second string. They all kind of play the same amount of snaps. Hill has been getting a lot of penalties, but he's probably still your best blocker. Durham Smythe has been probably having his worst season ever, at least the start of it. And then Jonnu, I think the reason Jonnu doesn't play a ton is because the Dolphins need a lot of help blocking, and Jonnu's not the best blocking tight end, but he's definitely the best receiving tight end. And I do think that should be a focal point for the Dolphins, getting him involved. Just please don't draft Jalen Moreau or Shitter Sanders. Yeah, I definitely like Cam Ward more than both of those guys. I think there's some intriguing other players, but I don't know. I don't think a lot of them are first round players in this QB class. But it's way too early for that. I haven't watched a ton of film. I'm going to write like scouting reports, do film breakdowns on a bunch of the draft class. So let's see how that plays out. Yeah. I think Malik will play this week. I'm hoping to see Malik. I think Malik could easily be the Dolphins' best receiver right now with who's on the roster, not counting OBJ and Craycraft after Tyreek and Waddle, because I kind of think I want to see more Ezukanma and Eskridge off the practice squad, less Braxton Berrios. I think Berrios should only play special teams at this point because he hasn't done anything offensively. But I think Malik could be very intriguing. Right, a reason from inside the NFL is pounding the table for Jackson Dart. I need to see more from Dart. I haven't seen Dart's film this year, but from his film last year, I wasn't super impressed. If he was like a second round guy, sure. First round, I'm not sold yet, but I haven't seen his film this year, so that's why I'm not giving like too strong opinions about it, because I haven't seen the 2024 film, and that's where we'll all make our final decisions about people, and I'll break some of that stuff down if that's where the Dolphins head. I don't know if it will be. I think it's way too early to tell, but yeah. Jackson Dart has some intriguing traits. But also, we don't even know who's going to declare. Like I said, Nussmeier, but I don't even know if Nussmeier will declare, because this is his first season as a starter at LSU. There's also like Miller Moss from USC, who's got some intriguing stuff going for him. But yeah. God, it's windy. Okay, you guys got any more questions? And I'll get the defense tomorrow. Also, this 3 safety personnel package, which we talked about a lot in the offseason when the Dolphins signed Anthony Weaver. Like, they're going to run 3 safety sets because the Ravens ran 3 safety sets a lot. And we finally got to see it a decent amount versus Seattle. And I think with the corner injuries, it could be ran more. And I I think it gives the defense more versatility. He said second round for him too. Yeah. Especially because, and I do think Grant DeBose went on IR. Yeah, he did. Yeah, I do think he's more of a second rounder right now, at least from my understanding. What were you looking at behind you? I heard the wind. It was so loud. With all the storm going on. Yeah, I was a guest. What was I saying? Hill had so many penalties. Yeah, that's not what I was talking about. But yeah, he has. The tight end room in general just needs to be better. But yeah, I was talking about the QB thing. The QB thing is, I know a lot of people get excited about drafting QBs, but it is also kind of a crapshoot at times. Even more so, like the draft can be a crapshoot in general, but like QBs are very have some of the highest miss rates. Like if you look at the most recent drafts, like if you look at the 2021 draft, which is like the Trevor Lawrence, the Justin Fields, the Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, Trey Lance draft, pretty much none of those guys, 3 of them are bust, and the other 2 have just not lived up to expectations. The 2022 draft is all bust, but it was the Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, Sam Howell, Malik Willis, who had some good games for the Packers, but he's a backup. That's a full bust class. Then the 2023 class, you have Stroud, who's clearly the best of the bunch, but Bryce Young, already considered a bust by most people. And then Will Levis and Anthony Richardson, who are not playing up to what people expect either. So a lot of the QBs don't hit. Really, Stroud's the only one who's hit. And then you have the most recent rookie class, who definitely shows some potential, but it's still way too early to say anything about them. Who do you think should play instead of Poyer? Well, in the 3 safety set, I think Poyer should play, but I'm actually totally okay with Marcus May playing over Poyer. And honestly, even Elijah Campbell. I think Poyer brings a lot of, veteranship to the secondary, but I think the other guy, I think he's just lost a step. I think if Poyer plays, he should play as he actually looked pretty good as a box safety last year when he was playing versus the run. But he hasn't really done that for Miami. That's the worst case scenario. If the Fins want insurance, I doubt they would take a QB rest in the first round, but would definitely look for intriguing prospects like QB in mid rounds. Yeah. I actually wouldn't even be against second round if that's the case, because as I was saying, I actually think developing QBs, if they don't need to play right away, I think that's a pretty good way of getting people to, I feel like people just play QB, and if they don't look good right away, they just give up so quickly. And there's certain guys that just take a while to develop. So I'm not against, especially because the Dolphins have a lot of draft picks last year, I'm not against with Tua taking a QB relatively early. I still think it would be probably kind of a waste to use a first round pick on him unless you really think his injury history is gonna ruin him. But yeah. Ryder, when will you do a top five of 10 college prospects you're watching this year, top in each position? It's probably gonna be a while until I do college prospect stuff. I might do some film breakdowns on college guys soon, but I'll probably keep those members only for a while, just because I don't think if I post those to the main channel for everyone to watch, most people don't watch them until draft season rolls around. So I'll just keep that members only. But I'll definitely get to the draft stuff eventually. And if the season ends quickly for the Dolphins, hey, it's over, then I'll probably get into the draft stuff earlier than possible. Which college football games are you watching tomorrow? I'm actually working 2. I can't remember. I have to audit for this company I work for. I'm not going to games tomorrow, but I'm auditing 2 games tomorrow where people are keeping track of stats, and I correct what they're doing. So I'm not sure which ones I'm watching right now. Would you prefer Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks Jr. in the draft? Too early to say. I know both the names. I haven't watched them yet. Right, you see my list on who I would hope the fans would put away. Where's the list? Oh, I did see the list. I can't remember all the lists off the top of my head, but I don't remember thinking it was a bad list. I remember thinking oh yeah, there's definitely some good names in there. I guess we take another 4 to 7 round QB pick. QBs are better second team in 5 years experience. True. Look at Sam Darnold. And it's not even his second team. Jaden Daniels looks pretty good too. But it's still so early for that class. I'm not I feel like people are judging and already switching up so early. Things can change so fast. But yeah, I do like what I've seen from Daniels. What if Tyler Huntley balls out? Do we stick with Huntley? I don't think so. I think if Tua is healthy, you run this offense because it's built for him. I think Huntley can ball out, but to me, there's certain quarterbacks that can come in and ball out, but it doesn't last a full season. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like Huntley's the type of quarterback, like, he's such a difference from Tua. I think he could come in and ball out, but once teams start to, like, figure out the Dolphins with their new offense, I think then it would start to slow down. And I think the offense is just built for Tua's playstyle, so I would be surprised if that was to happen. Yeah. Oh, I'm a big Terry McLaurin fan. Like, you talk about draft picks, Terry McLaurin was one of the guys I was probably highest on, like, in a draft class where I was like, I had him as a top 5 receiver in that class, and he went in 3rd round. I loved Terry McLaurin. So I'm happy for him that he has a QB that can actually hit him. I would like to see a deep ball first play that would put the D on their heels and eat up the middle and QB runs. I'm not against it if it's off like play action. I mean, the Dolphins did come out and kind of throw it early on. Josh Dobbs, yeah. Josh Dobbs is probably the perfect example of what I've just explained. Like, he comes in as a first, like, it's almost like the honeymoon period. You know what I'm saying? There's like a honeymoon period between these guys, and then it starts to catch up with them a little bit. Things start to get a little more complicated with what defenses are showing them. Also, teams, I think, versus backup QBs are more likely to try to stop the run too. So maybe there's like less people in the secondary, and then once they like start to, you know, maybe not stack the box as much, then they have trouble throwing it. We starting Boyle though, right? I don't think it's been confirmed. I don't know who we're starting. Unless it got confirmed while I was streaming, I don't think McDaniel has said anything. If it's Boyle, I would be a little upset, to be honest. But I don't know. We are not sure at this point. McDaniel has not made anything clear. I really hope it's not Skylar. I do not want to see Skylar out there again, especially a hurt Skylar. Like, he is hurt bad. So I'd rather see Boyle over Skylar, but I do think we should see Huntley over Boyle. But yeah, I don't see anything on Twitter right now. It has not been confirmed either way. Who's starting? But yeah. But I'm hoping, I want to see Huntley. I think Huntley gives you the best chance. And I think there's certain things McDaniel's done and from different teams I'm reading between the lines. Well, the only reason, like, Tyreek did say he caught all his passes from Boyle, but like, usually it'd be like, oh, then that means they probably think Boyle's going to start. But like, I don't know if I believe anything Tyreek says. Because he's always just trolling in those interviews. Douglas Utu, offensive guard, is an Oregon Duck now. Dude's a stud. I'd love to see him wind up on the Dolphins. I'll have to check him out. I think I've heard the name. A lot of the draft guys I haven't watched yet. I've watched them play like live, but I don't do like grading or like write reports or like do my, rankings until I've watched like film on everyone. That's why I don't have like too strong, because I feel like people just throw out their opinions, about players too often when they haven't really watched them a lot yet. They've like seen them play live like once. And there's a lot of guys I have seen from last year. But yeah. I think that's probably everything I wanted to talk about today. So expect the film breakdown on the safety personnel tomorrow, because it was definitely intriguing. Watching Holland played a lot of nickel at Oregon, and he got to play a lot of nickel in the second half, and I actually think he always looks pretty comfortable there. And I think it allows him to get involved versus the run. I think, he's always been a good blitzer, so if you want to blitz him from the nickel, I think it allows that for more to happen. I think it allows him to play and just be more involved in like every pass play, because sometimes safety don't always get involved in pass plays. Jay Wright can block okay, you think? Yeah, Wright was probably the best. Like, last week, the Dolphins actually had their running backs block, which is very rare for the Dolphins to do, and Wright was definitely a better blocker than Achane. But yeah. Okay, but